Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we went over the multiple choice questions in class, so here's a video to help you with the show your work questions. A lot of this is calculator work, but you still, of course, have to show what you're putting in your calculator. So the average distance from Earth, is from the sun is about that many miles, and the average distance Mars is that many. How many times as far is Mars from the sun as Earth? So this is a division. When they want how many times, they're really asking you for a division here. So 1.4162 times 10 to the 8th divided by 9.296 times 10 to the 7th. So for this on your calculator, you can either use the EE button, which lets you enter it in scientific notation, which means you don't need the x or the power of 10. If you're going to put it in like it says up here using the times 10 to the 8th, then you would need to put this in parentheses and this in parentheses. So it depends on how you're entering it. When you do that though, you're going to get about 1.5 times as big, or times as closer, I should say. And it turned out to be a longer decimal, but it says about how many times. Okay? All right. For the next one, so when we're graphing, we need to first enter this to be able to get a table of values. So I put it in my calculator, I hit second table, and the table that I got, you don't have to put all of the numbers, but it started with, I did -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, which was 3661.16.03. The -2 doesn't fit on the graph, but the -1 does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 0, 1, and 1, and very quickly you can see here. So you're going to want to make sure that you include your table of values. They then asked you to state the domain and range. Your domain, which is always your x values, are all real numbers, because x can be anything. I can put anything in it all for that exponent and I'll get an answer. Your range, which is your y values, if I'm looking at my graph will never go below the x-axis. It'll never touch the x-axis. So my range is y is greater than 0. Okay, number 17. So this is a formula you need to have memorized or written on your index card. Determine the amount of an investment if $96,000, this is your P, is invested at an interest rate of 5.2%, that's your R, compounded monthly, which means N is 12, and for 3 years, there's your time. So my formula is A equals P times 1 plus, sorry, that didn't look very nice, R over N to the NT power, right? We're supposed to remember that. So I'm going to fill in my numbers, 96,000, 1 plus, interest rate has to be written as a decimal, 0.052, and then I'm going to multiply my 12 and my 3 to get 36. When I do that, and if you enter it in your calculator correctly, you're going to get $112,169.51. Again, calculator work, making sure you know how to use your formula, and you know the formula in this case. Okay, a new car is valued at $16,500, depreciates, which means it's going to go down, at a steady rate of 12% per year, that's your R. What is the value of the car after 10 years? There's your T. So my equation, y equals A for your initial amount, times 1 minus R, because it's a depreciation, to the T power. So this is an exponential growth. So we have 16,500. I already did the 1 minus R, which is going to turn out to be 0.88. And then T is 10. You can enter it as 1 minus 0.12, but I did that part ahead of time. And when you do that, you should get $4,595.27. So after 10 years, that's all the car is going to be worth. All right, next one. Write an equation for the nth term If it doesn't tell you specifically which one they want the explicit. If they want the recursive, they're going to tell you that. So my equation, first of all, I have to figure out which type of series, it tells me, sorry. They tell me it's a geometric series, so I have to figure out what R is. How am I getting from one number to the other? I'm multiplying by 2. So my formula for AN is A1 times R to the n minus 1 power. A1 is your first term. So now I'm going to fill those in. So we're going to have 4 times R is 2 to the n minus 1. And you cannot multiply those because the 2 has an exponent and the 4 does not. So it stays like that. It didn't even ask you to do anything with it, so that's kind of nice. Find the first 3 terms of the sequence. They gave us, and when I first did this, I kept going. I did the first 5 terms because I'm so used to that. So they give us A1, which is -4. And then they tell us that we're using whatever the term is before, and we're going to add 7 to it. So A2 is going to be A1, -4, plus 7, which means my third term is 3. A3 is going to be the second term, 3 plus 7, which gives me 10. So the first 3 terms are -4, 3, and 10. Again, hopefully nothing too challenging there. Write a recursive formula for the sequence. So recursive is when you're using your n minus 1. Here I have to tell you which type, or you have to figure out which type of series it is. This one turns out to be an arithmetic because I am going down by -8. Now, when you're doing a recursive, and I did not stress this too much in class, and that's my fault, but when you're doing a recursive formula, first of all, you need to state what A1 is. A1 is your first term, 27. Then we're going to write our formula. And our formula, AN, is AN minus 1 plus your D. Well, my D is I'm going down by 8. So AN equals AN minus 1 minus 8. You then have to say what your limitations are for N. And for these, they're pretty much always the same. N has to be greater than or equal to 2 because this is for the second term on. So this is the part, again, I didn't stress in class, but hopefully you are paying attention and actually watching the video. So you do need to include those 2 things when you do this type of question on your test. What is the first term, and then what is your restrictions for N? Any questions for the kids that have me? I will be here 6:30 Thursday morning, so come and ask your questions. Have a good night, guys.